The nation of South Africa is preparing to receive the remains of its late ambassador to France, Nkosinathi Emmanuel Nathi Mthethwa, whose sudden passing in Paris last week sent shockwaves through diplomatic and political circles. According to a statement from the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, DIRCO, all necessary formalities in France have now been completed, paving the way for his repatriation scheduled for Thursday. The homecoming is expected to be marked by solemnity, dignity, and reflection on the life of a man who dedicated decades to public service and diplomacy. Mthethwa, a seasoned statesman and former cabinet minister, was appointed South Africa's ambassador to France in 2023, a posting seen by many as a continuation of his long-standing commitment to national development and international engagement. His untimely death, reportedly following a brief illness, has prompted both mourning and introspection about his legacy. Friends, colleagues, and political peers have described him as the man of purpose, intellect, and loyalty, someone who carried the country's flag with pride even in his final days abroad. Preparations for the repatriation have been underway since last weekend, coordinated jointly by DIRCO, the South African Embassy in Paris, and Mthethwa's family. According to officials familiar with the process, the ambassador's remains were released to South African authorities after French medical and legal formalities were completed, including the post-mortem examination and verification of diplomatic documentation. The remains are expected to arrive in Johannesburg on Thursday afternoon aboard a government-chartered flight, accompanied by embassy staff and senior officials from DIRCO. Upon arrival, Mthethwa's casket will be received at Tambo International Airport with full diplomatic honors. A ceremonial guard of honor, attended by high-ranking government representatives and members of the diplomatic corps, will pay tribute to the late envoy. DIRCO sources indicated that Minister Naledi Pandor is expected to lead the delegation welcoming him home, while messages of condolence from the French government will also be delivered during the brief tarmac ceremony. In KwaZulu-Natal, preparations are already in progress for the funeral arrangements, which are expected to be held over the weekend. Government officials have confirmed that Mthethwa will be laid to rest with full state honors in his hometown, although final details are still being finalized with his family. Local church leaders, community figures, and ANC veterans are expected to play a central role in the funeral proceedings, honoring a man whose public life spanned both the political and diplomatic spheres. Nathi Mthethwa's death has sparked a wave of tributes across social and political platforms. President Cyril Ramaphosa, in a statement issued from the Union Buildings, described Mthethwa as a loyal servant of the Republic, whose commitment to the ideals of peace, democracy, and cultural diplomacy stood as an example to the nation. The president also expressed gratitude to the French government for its assistance in ensuring a smooth and respectful repatriation process. Mthethwa's tenure as ambassador had been marked by efforts to strengthen South Africa's cultural and economic ties with France. He was instrumental in promoting South African art, music, and tourism abroad, and had recently hosted several successful bilateral events in Paris, including the SA-France Partnership for Innovation conference earlier this year. Colleagues in the diplomatic community have recalled his warmth and sense of purpose, describing him as someone who brought both authority and humanity to his work. For many South Africans, however, his passing represents more than just the loss of a statesman, it is the end of an era. As former Minister of Police and Arts and Culture, Mthethwa had long been a prominent figure in post-apartheid governance. His journey from grassroots activism to the global diplomatic stage embodied the story of a generation that helped shape South Africa's democratic identity. As his remains return home, there is an unmistakable sense of national mourning but also gratitude. Gratitude for a man who, through controversy and triumph alike, never ceased to serve his country. On Thursday, when the aircraft doors open and the South African flag-draped casket is carried down the tarmac, it will mark not only the closing of a chapter but also the continuation of a legacy, one that reminds the nation of the enduring call to serve with honor, humility, and heart. South Africa waits in sorrow, pride, and reverence to welcome Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa home for the final time.